This is Charlie Bravo, and you're watching MD90.
Subscribe.
Remember, I almost said follow. Subscribe. This is MD90, and I'm not good at this shit. What's up? This is Charlie Bravo, and you're tuned into MD90. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.
Well, President Hakainde Hichilema was in Chagwa, and he had a meeting with the Catholic bishops and clergy. So the president put up this after the meeting. The president says, today we are honored to be part of the celebration of the holy enchantment and entrustment as part of the annual meeting of Association of the Syrian Catholic Clergy in Chagwa, central Zambia. This is a gathering of the Syrian priests drawn from across the country. Their national conference theme, Priests Transforming Communities and Environment in the Spirit of Synodality, resonated deeply with our values and aspirations as a nation hold dearly. So he says, we reiterated the call for the church to continue partnering with government in transforming our communities by providing what is needed, as well as preserving our environment during these difficult times of climate change. It is for this reason that our government will continue to promote cordial and warm working relationship with the church, and concept of synodality, call for togetherness and a shared responsibility as a guiding principle as a cornerstone for both the church and the nation, and he signs it off. President Hakainde Hichilema, Republican President of Zambia. So these are some of the images that came from that meeting in Chagwa, where the president was meeting the priests and bishops from the Catholic Church. So these are some of the images from that particular meeting, and then that was the president waving his goodbye. Then you see the Minister of Home Affairs, Jack Mwimbu, and behind him, Felix Mutati, receiving the Eucharist. And then Bowman Lusambo's court cases continue with his wife. So he was in court today. So AFCC orders Lusambo to open defense today without fail. Former Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo and his wife Nancy Mananse have engaged the law firm of former Attorney General Lukando Kalaluka to guide them through their defense a week after the couple part ways with Makebi Zulu advocates. So if you remember, it should have been last week when Bowman Lusambo asked to be excused from the court proceedings because he fell sick, he wasn't feeling well. And then also his lawyers, Makebi Zulu, decided to part ways with him. So he's got a new law firm representing him in a number of court cases that he has. So he opened his defense with regard to that. What is the relationship between President Hakainde Hichilema and former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was explained by Tabokawana, PS for Media. So Tabokawana yesterday held a press brief right after Cornelius Mwetwa was on Let the People Talk or Hot Seat, one of those radio programs. And so Tabokawana says if Lungu wasn't bitter, he would have been useful to Hichilema. So Information and Media Permanent Secretary Tabokawana says if former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu wasn't bitter, he would have been useful to the president, to President Hakainde Hichilema. Speaking at a press briefing in Lusaka yesterday, Kawana stated that if Lungu had humbled himself as former head of state without getting back into active politics, he would have been representing the head of state in many activities. So that's his view. He says if Edgar Lungu had humbled himself enough, the relationship between Hakainde Hichilema and Edgar would have been better than what it is right now. And if you remember, there was even a call, should have been a week ago or two, where certain sections of society were advocating that President Hakainde Hichilema sends Edgar Lungu to Zimbabwe to go and rectify whatever issues that we seem to be having with Zimbabwe. because ZANU-PF, that's the ruling party in Zimbabwe, has been issuing a number of statements that have not been sitting well with the Serbian government of President Hakainde Hichilema. And if you remember, it should have been early this year, Mnangagwa held a meeting with Vladimir Putin, where he even said no, he needed Russia to go and set up a base in Zimbabwe because he felt threatened by the presence of the US in Zambia. So since then, the relationship hasn't been the same. So that's that's an example of where Edgar Lungu would have been useful, but obviously that's not the case. And then obviously this is in the Daily Nation. They say Edgar Chagwa been maliciously scandalized. This was Mano Mwamba. So they say, Mano Mwamba says, there is an agenda to maliciously scandalize former President Lungu by linking him to properties he did not own or where the owners are well known in attempts to incite Zambians against the former head of state. So if you remember, there are some properties that have been seized, should be worth 100 million plus kwacha. And those are the properties that Emmanuel Mwamba is referring to there, to say the owners of those properties are well known, but they're trying to link them to Edgar Lungu. And that's what has been reported there. And the issue of load shedding, Mao Sampa put up this. He says, breaking news, Lusaka to remain with no power for 15 days because Mamba Koladi is one of the sub-electric power stations, is on maintenance, care and maintenance. So that's what he was referring to say it'll be on care and maintenance for a couple of days, so 15 days of blackouts. So Mao Sampo was simply saying we should find an alternative there. That's the material member of parliament and also the president of PFB. As you know, PF has got two sections, one for Edgar Lungu and one for Mao Sampa. In fact, there's a third one also. This is in the mass newspaper. The substitute Hakainde Hichilema, he has lost the argument for seeking a second term of office, argues Musoni. This Musoni was part of the UPND alliance, but he fell off with the UPND alliance just slightly after the elections. Should have been just a couple of months afterwards. So since then, he's been issuing those statements. So he's simply saying there's no need for the head of state to rerun, as you can see from that headline in the mass newspaper. This is in the Real Times. Jobs on the line. NAPS announces the closure of the iconic Society Business Park. So if you know, this is the reason why that building is being closed. It's been developing a number of cracks, and seems like those cracks keep on getting worse, because this image that you see on screen was reported should have been late 2020 or thereabout, but some recent images that have been showing up simply show that the cracks are deepening. So NAPS decided to close the building. So they say they've got the option to either completely demolish the building or simply do some works on it. They're yet to decide. But as things stand, the owners of businesses in that premise have been given 10 days to evacuate the premises. It's a good precautionary decision, and like waiting for a disaster to happen, and then that's when you start remedying it. So we wait and see how that plays out, if it's going to be a complete demolition. So that was the tallest building in Zambia recently. But once it's demolished, that simply means Findeka House goes back to being the tallest building in the country. This is in the news diggers. They say, well, we do not impose things on Zambians. We learn from one another as equals. So the US envoy. So this is the American envoy simply stating they do not impose anything on Zambia. It's a balanced relationship. That's the news, ladies and gentlemen.